If you are struggling with enrollments and feeling like you're constantly playing catch up or you're behind, this video is for you. I'm Jaren and I'm here to help you fill every spot in your childcare business without discounting a dime. So let's jump right into the Bible, shall we? So in Proverbs 6, starting in verse 6 and reading through verse 11, this is the New Living Translation. It says, "Take a lesson from the ants, you lazy bones. Learn from their ways and become wise. Though they have no prince or governor or ruler to make them work, they labor hard all summer, gathering food for the winter. But you lazy bones, how long will you sleep? When will you wake up? A little extra sleep, a little more slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. Then poverty will pounce on you like a bandit. Scarcity will attack you like an armed robber." All right, so it's talking about these ants, and I just gotta tell you, that's not the only time they get a shout out in the book of Proverbs. I'm trying to turn over to Proverbs 30. Bear with me a minute. Okay. All right. These ants are mentioned again in Proverbs chapter 30, starting in verse 24 and reading through 25. It says, "There are 4 things on earth that are small but unusually wise. Ants, they aren't strong, but they store up food all summer." So what is it about this summer, right? I'm gonna go back to Proverbs 6. Okay, so let's get real. When enrollments are going well and you're full, all your classrooms are full, it's really tempted to slack off. And I know I've done that. I mean, it's hard to catch a break, catch your breath sometimes in this industry. And hear me, vacations are totally necessary. But when you're at work, while you're actually working, on those easy weeks, we need to be like the ants, which is storing up food in the summer. So this was just really convicting for me because it says, though they have no prince or governor or ruler to make them work, they labor hard all summer, gathering food for the winter. So you're the boss, you're your own boss, and you don't have anyone else above you saying you need to do this at this time. There's a lot of freedom in that, but it's saying that even though you don't have anyone telling you to do this work in the summer, be wise like the ants and labor hard all summer. And so what is unique about the summer for the ants? Essentially, it's warm outside and the food is abundant, okay? So in the summer, you have people outside gathering for picnics, dropping scraps here and there. You have dead bugs all around, whatever ants eat, from food to dead bugs to what have you. It's all around in the summer. So they are aware that winter is coming, okay? There's no stopping it. Winter always comes, and in the winter, scarcity will attack like an armed robber. So there won't be really any food lying around because all the people are inside, all the bugs are dead. Like, if they didn't store up the food in the summer, they would not have any food in the winter because there wouldn't be any. So what this means for you as a childcare business owner, that you have to identify your summer, okay? It might not be the literal season of summer, but it might be. It might not be a full 3-month season where there's abundance, but it could be. But what I found with working in my parents' childcare center, it was a couple of weeks here and there. But I do think there is something special about the literal season of summer. Okay, one is just a natural kind of into like a classroom time. So like what happens in the summer? You have kids who graduate from one classroom to the next, usually, unless you have a rolling promotion based on age. But it's kind of this natural transition time where you're leaving a classroom, you're getting older, you have some families that are moving into town for work, moving out of town for work, and it's just sort of a season to relax, but it's kind of a natural end to maybe a classroom or school season, and a natural start to something new if parents aren't happy with what they experienced in that last season. So I know with preparing for summer camps and field trips and things like that, like to me, that's a winter season. So any time it's really hard to take on a lot of tours in a week, let's say, your state visit is coming up soon and you have to make sure all your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, and everything's great. Or if you have a quality rating program in your state like we do in Georgia, it can take a lot of work to get your classrooms ready for that evaluation. And there are just other times where maybe you are having to hire a bunch and train those new employees. It's not really ideal to be bringing in a lot of tours, especially in the classroom where you have a new teacher trying to get up to speed. So you have these periods of winter where you're just at maximum capacity and can't take on any more work. And it's in these times that you might have an unexpected unenrollment or someone leaves because they had to move for a job or other reasons, but you still need that spot filled. So what do you do? And so that's why it's important in the weeks where you do have a little bit of breathing room and capacity and abundance of time, more so an abundance of resources to really build up, to store up for your enrollments. That's what you should do. So what do I mean by store? Where do we store up as childcare owners? So this is why I believe all childcare owners should have a wait list. In these times where it is your summer weeks or your summer season, and you're kind of tempted to maybe slack off while you're at work. Like I said, take the vacation you need. Well, let's say you're at work and you're like, I'm just gonna chill and chat it up. These are the times that you should be maybe throwing that community event to raise awareness, doing a volunteer event to bring awareness to your name, maybe pushing out more content or just invitations to come tour, doing an open house. There are just a lot of things you can kind of put into place that can serve you all year when you don't have a ton of time to focus on enrollments. One of those things is working on your community partnerships. What that means is finding other businesses around your area that serve the same type of customer you do. So you serve children, if you have like a children's barbershop or a pediatrician or a pediatric dentist or like a dance studio or just other types of businesses that serve young children, and then other types of businesses that serve moms like OBGYNs or even adult dentists. You can pretty much work with them and partner with them, or even schools, just to build that relationship. Maybe trade business cards saying, hey, I'll put your business cards in my lobby if I can put some in your lobby, or even just establishing goodwill, buying a box of donuts from Dunkin', dropping it off to saying, hey, I'm down the street, do you mind if I leave some business cards here with the box of donuts? A lot of times it's hard to say no to that. So these are just things that you can really prepare for to store up your wait list, so that when you do have that unexpected dip in enrollment, you can draw from your wait list and not be scrambling to try to fill that spot when you're at max capacity and don't have time to do a bunch of tours or figure out advertising or anything like that. And I just want to point out one of the things that mentioned in Proverbs 30, again about the ants. So first, we are given the description of their wisdom of saying they don't have anyone telling them to do this, but they are wise enough to do this, to store up in the summer for the winter. In Proverbs 30, the characteristic that is pointed out about the ants, it says, ants, they aren't strong, but they store food up all summer. Okay, so what I loved about this, to me, is saying you don't have to be the best or the strongest like brand or center in your market to make this work. You just have to be diligent. You just have to work all summer to store it up all summer. So even with my parent center, we were licensed for 112 children, but we're just a mom and pop shop, right? We're not a franchise. We don't have like, Childcare network. We don't have like a marketing team that's just all they do is market, and they handle all that for all their centers. The directors don't have to worry about that. Like, to me, that's strength, where you have just a bunch of money and kind of a corporate level that can handle this stuff for you. But these Proverbs saying you don't have to have that to make it work. Okay, you just have to do the work and show up in the summertime. So I would just say, look over your calendar for the next couple months, and when do you have some breathing room? And in those weeks, figure out what you can do to kind of put systems in place that will keep bringing in tours to you without you having to work that hard for it. Scheduling your tours in those weeks. And if you currently don't have a system to store up on your wait list, my husband and I built Simplest just for this purpose because it was a godsend in our business, honestly. It was a godsend in our business, just like, I would say, two things we did was just make sure our Google profile was visible when parents searched daycare near me, and on our website just had a clear like join our waitlist button. And so even in times where we couldn't really tour or advertise or market, people were organically finding us just by searching daycares near me. And we were storing up our waitlist on autopilot. And so when it did come time, like we had a bunch of staff stuff go down in our center that involved firings and just the staff turnover, like that took up so much time and energy to kind of always be hiring. So just having parents that we knew were interested, and not everybody on the wait list is still looking when you're ready to contact them. They had to probably wait at another center. But anyway, just so you know, this definitely Big Star enrollments help protect them so that we weren't ever really in a pickle and a bind on those really rough weeks that we had to overcome. So if you want to check it out, you can try Simplest for free for 14 days and, hope it helps you store up in the summer. So once you have your systems in place that are bringing tours to you on autopilot, if you are having any issues with getting people to say yes on your tour, or just want to copy a playbook that's worked for us to get the majority of our tours to say yes, you can check out the video linked here, which is the proven 4-step childcare tour playbook that gets easy enrollments. I'll see you in the next one.